Good morning. I'm really excited today to actually introduce a true legend who I've had the absolute pleasure of getting to know really well and is actually our co-host for this podcast, Mr. Leigh Skinne.
Stop it. Stop it.
So today, I'm really pumped because today is all about actually getting to know Leigh, his journey through life and what makes him an amazing person. So today, I feel like we should probably start where it all began, mate. Where were you born?
Well, I was born in Cronulla, Sydney, so Southern Shire, so in Caringbah Hospital, way back, long time ago.
Last year, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
57 years ago, actually.
Nice.
So, yes, a long time ago. At Cronulla, so I was raised in Cronulla, lived there, followed the Sharks. It was cool.
What was it like? For someone who's never really even seen Cronulla, like what is it like?
Cronulla's one of the southern beaches of Sydney.
Okay.
So, the southernest beach of Sydney. So it was on the beach, so I used to surf. A lot of I'll surf very little, but tried to surf. We were down the beach a lot. We did other things, we had cars and, into cars. So it was still that culture of the surfy dudes, like the real surfy dudes. And then there was us who would maybe go down and have a surf every now and again. And then the car dudes. And yeah, it was cool growing up. I loved growing up in Sydney. Being Cronulla was sort of like on the peninsula. Like it was just Cronulla people.
It sounds beautiful, mate.
Man, it's nice. So if we're on the Gold Coast here, so if you can imagine Burleigh Heads, very similar to Cronulla, as in the beauty of Cronulla.
Like the landscape?
The landscape, the beach, very surf culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you there for? Because obviously we're here on the Gold Coast for those who don't understand or know.
Yeah.
So you obviously moved at some point, mate. Like how long were you at Cronulla for?
Yeah, I lived there till I was 21 with mum and dad.
Nice.
Yeah, I have two brothers and one sister.
Nice.
Unfortunately, one of my brothers passed away when I was very young.
Sorry to hear.
And so I moved up to Queensland just for a change, I suppose. And things weren't quite going my way down in Sydney at that point when I was in my late teens, 20. So yeah, moved to Queensland for a change.
Nice. And did it give you the change that you were chasing?
Yes. Yeah. It got me. It got me out of an environment that I suppose was probably
a bit toxic.
Yeah, a little bit toxic. There was, I suppose, growing up in any area, drugs and alcohol and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, come up here and sort of got away from that a little bit. Otherwise, I probably would be still doing that sort of lifestyle, So, yes, changed everything. Turned my world upside down. Because I moved up here and 2 weeks later, my mum come up to visit me. Because I moved up by myself at 21.
Wow.
And mum come to... Hey?
That's wild. That's cool.
Oh, it's cool, yeah. And mum come to visit me. And I just moved into this brand new apartment with my mate. And I forgot to pick her up from the bus station. So she got...
That's a good move, mate.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
good start.
Poor old mum. She got the cab over and that. And she's knocked on the door of the unit. And she's come in. And I'd had a hangover because I'd been drinking with my mate. Yeah. Usual story. And she went to the fridge to get some milk out to get a cup of tea. Make a cup of tea for herself. And there was nothing in the fridge but beer and bourbons and Coke and stuff. And she's like, oh my God. And then she's opened the cupboard and me and Paul, the guy I live with, stupidly put all our empty bourbon bottles. We lined them up to see how many we'd get.
Yeah.
And we had a whole shelf of these empty bourbon bottles and port bottles and stuff. And mum's just hit the roof.
That's hilarious.
And she said, you're not staying here by yourself. You're not allowed to. So mum and dad went home. After that, they stayed for a week or so. And mum and dad went home, put the house on the market, up for rent. They got it rented out and they moved up here. And so they moved up here in the February, man.
No way. Because of the empty bourbon.
Yeah, because I'm just a shit kid, you know? Wow,
that's crazy.
So it's cool. So they moved up in February.
Okay.
So here we are, mum and dad and my brother and sister on the Gold Coast.
Still to this day?
We're all here, yeah, we're all here.
So they've got you to thank for being a bit of a shit kid.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
got to be something behind being a shit kid, you know?
Definitely.
But I have grown up.
Yeah, and I'm excited to unpack that real soon, which is cool. Before we do that, mate, I have one question that's going to lead into another one, cool. Which I'm sure a lot of our listeners are sitting kind of waiting to hear. But as a kid, and even to now, assuming this has changed, who was your hero? Like, who did you look up to?
When I was younger, when I was a kid, I don't know. I was so much of a shit kid that I didn't have any heroes.
Okay.
I was my own hero.
Nice.
I don't know. But now I do have a hero. As I've grown up and like we've done a lot of PD, personal development course and everything, and had to deal with a lot of issues that we can discuss. We'll unpack all that later.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Deadpool.
So cool.
My man. You're like,
I was about to say, if you don't say Deadpool, I'm going to be asking questions, dude. So why Deadpool? What is it about his character, who he is, that is kind of your hero?
It's Deadpool. It's not the fact that he goes and shoots and kills people.
Of course.
Even though, it's probably cool.
Yeah.
But it's not really that cool,
Yeah,
ripping people apart. It's more about him, the function that he can rebuild his body.
Interesting. I did not think it was going to go that way. That's so cool.
So what he does, like he had his limb cut off and he grows a hand or he grows a leg. Part of my story is I've been trying to do that myself for all my adult life. So
cool.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. That's really cool. So obviously, a lot of our listeners won't understand your backstory and the condition that you've kind of in right now and are battling to overcome. Do you want to unpack that a little bit?
I can go there, mate. Yeah, sure.
So where did it all start? And explain, obviously, to our audience kind of what you got.
Okay, as growing up as a kid at Cronulla, this is back in the 70s and 80s. So as many kids, we played as much sport as possible. So I played soccer for 10 years. I had a dirt bike. I used to race dirt bikes. My dad used to take me to gym classes and everything when I was younger. So very active. So at school, all the sports carnivals we do at school, I always got somewhere in that, right, running, jumping, high jump. I was one of those athletes, I suppose, was probably a bit lazy, but very talented.
Yeah, right.
Very talented at everything. So I could just do any sport, no matter what it was. I just do it. And I was very good at it. And it wasn't, I've always had sport in the back of my head. I want to be great at sport. I want to be an athlete. I want to do something in sport long term. But it's 18 years old, man. I woke up one day and I couldn't walk. And it was from later we found out. It took a year. We got to remember this is back in the 80s. So the technology of things,
diagnostics and stuff.
Diagnostics technology wasn't there. So I ended up being in and out of hospital and doctors and that for a whole 12 months and a few operations. And they ended up finding I had a tumour in my spinal cord down in my lumbar, which had grown and crushed the nerves to my legs. I remember the surgeon, Dad actually found a surgeon, or Mum and Dad found a surgeon that was willing to operate because you can imagine a tumour inside your spinal cord. So it's like in all your wires.
Yeah.
One sort of slip and then it's over, sort of, to a portion of your body. So we found a surgeon who was he was a lecturer at Sydney Uni for neurology. So he come and did a surgery on me. So before, I would still remember, it was pretty dark sort of time. Being 18 years old, or actually at the point of surgery I was 19 because it took 12 months.
Can I stop you there? And I know this is like really personal and deep, man, and 12 months of not actually understanding what the hell was going on.
Yeah, man, yeah. I had one doctor say I was dying. One doctor, man, I went to this doctor and it was really weird because they do like motor tests on my legs and they worked in work. And I remember the doctor laying over me like I'm on the bed. And he was a specialist at something, I don't know what, but anyway, I had to go and see him. And I lifted him up with one hand because I was still quite strong upper body. And his diagnosis was I had some neural disease that was probably going to kill me. And I had to go home and face that at 18 years old, that I was probably going to die. So it was pretty serious.
That's heavy, man.
Yeah. It just went on from there. So I just said, he's full of shit. Sorry for swearing, but yeah, he's full of shit and I'm not going to die. And we went to, and Mum and Dad, they were pretty upset. So we went to other doctors and ended up finding this Dr. Dorsch, who diagnosed me, or a doctor diagnosed me, and he wanted to do the operation. But it was, really a dark 12 months. Because you imagine being 18 years old, man, I used to race my dirt bike and I couldn't even kickstart it anymore. I couldn't change gears because my left ankles, left leg was all numb. I could still walk, but only just. I couldn't run anymore, so I couldn't play soccer. Actually, I forgot to tell you, the cool part, I played soccer for 10 years, and this all happened when I was playing soccer. So I was a striker for 9.5 years of playing soccer. And when I got to the point where I couldn't run anymore, my teammates said, mate, let's put you in goals. So they put me in goals, man, for the last probably half or 2/3 of the season. Absolutely loved it.
That's so cool.
Man, like this is part of the boys, you know, growing up in Sydney. They put me in goals, and so what we did, every time I get the ball, like I'd dive on the ball or fall on it, or like a falling trick, grab the ball, get up. I couldn't kick it because I couldn't have enough strength in my legs to kick. I was just holding me up.
Yeah.
So I'd have to roll the ball out to the boys in the backs or whatever. It was like the coolest thing, you know, like there was a purpose.
Yeah.
It was really cool not kicking, but throwing the ball out, or I'd throw it out and someone would kick it on for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'd throw the ball up and the fullback would come through and nail it up the field. Yeah, it was like, and the ref would always come. I know the refs used to always come. Yeah, it was an awesome game, buddy, awesome game. So I don't know whether it was.
Talk about a team approach, huh?
Yeah, man, it's cool. Like, you know, team approach, my boys. So that was really cool back then, 18.
Wow. So fast forward, surgery.
Yeah, surgery, 18. I'm 19. I'm laying in bed. This is the night before surgery. And the surgeon comes in just to final check before he does the surgery in the morning. And like, it's pretty epic surgery. I had my dad, I think it was my dad and grandfather in the room with me at that time when he came in. And the surgeon said, look, Leigh, if we don't do this surgery, because I asked him the question, you know, like, well, Dad asked, one of us asked, if we don't do this surgery, what's going to happen? And the surgeon said, mate, if we don't do it, there's 50% chance there's a full-on chance you won't be walking within 6 months.
Holy dooly.
It'll take your legs from you, and whatever else, you know. Yeah. And then, like, what are the percentages of surviving this surgery? Or not surviving, but moving forward? And he said, you've probably got a 50% chance of walking out of here. And he looked at me and I said, mate, that's all I want. 50% chance. I'm frigging running with that. So 21 days later, mate, I walked out.
No way.
Yeah, I went, you know, F you sort of thing.
Yeah. Bit of Deadpool at the...
Bit of Deadpool and yeah, I walked out, and come home. And this is the thing that I thought in my head was I was fixed.
Yeah.
They took the tumor out and fixed everything, and I thought, cool. I remember Mum and Dad, you know, we weren't we didn't have a lot of money at all, you know. Dad worked really hard, Mum worked really hard at the jobs to help me, because they didn't know whether I was going to come out in a wheelchair or not.
Right.
So they went out and they bought a remote telly and a remote VCR back then, and the remote had a big cable on it.
No way.
Yeah, man, yeah. Just in case, you know, things went pear-shaped.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and I come out and I thought, I'm cured, right? So I've come home and I wanted to go back and ride my dirt bike. I wanted to go back and play soccer, and I wanted to go back and... Well, at this point, I was 19 years old. I was an apprentice mechanic, and living my trade dream that I wanted to do, because I wanted to be a race car mechanic eventually.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was moving forward towards that, and I thought everything's going to be fine. But it wasn't, unfortunately. So what happened was the tumour had done enough damage to my nerves that they never regenerated, they never grew back, and I still have numb, my whole leg, half the leg's numb, and yeah, all that now. And so I don't know, for at 21, that's probably part of the reason why I moved. I've seen a lot of mates going down the rabbit hole of drinking and alcohol and stuff, and I was going down that way. And I remember for a long time it was a why me, why poor me stuff.
Yeah. That victim.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, fair, but still. Yeah.
And I think that's why I've grown so much, totally opposite for that now. Yeah.
It's so cool, man. It's so cool to... I know it might be weird me saying it's so cool, because you know, the listeners don't know where you ended up yet. So no. I'm saying it's so cool because I know the parts of the rest of the story. So I suppose... you know, we had that dark time, and you know, it's still somewhat affecting you now. But can we actually, you know what? Before we talk about your incredible achievements, which I'm actually really excited to get to, cool. Let's stay in that era. First job.
First job was I had a job at school. It's funny you mentioned this. Me and Vic my wife Vicky talked about this the other day.
Okay.
What was your first job? And we started chatting.
Nice.
My first job was actually with a mate's dad at Scanlan's. Scanlan's, do you remember those? I don't know if you guys are young, old enough, but you had 10 cents, you put in the machine, you turn the handle,
yes.
And well, so he worked for Scanlan's. So his job was...
is that the brand that owned all those things?
Yeah, Scanlan's, I think they're called. Well, this is back in would have been late 70s, early 80s.
Gotcha. Yeah.
10 cents or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So his job was to clean, pull them apart, 'cause they had lollies in them, mate. And like, they weren't wrap lollies back then. The hygiene thing wasn't...
It wasn't a thing.
It wasn't so much of a thing. You know?
Kobe would run rampant, right?
Drinking out of taps and, you know what I mean? Eating mud. So he had to get them, pull them apart and clean them. So that was my first job, was working with him, dropping them in the acid bath, like the metal parts of it, and stripping all the paint off, and then getting them like powder coated and putting them all back together.
So interesting. Mechanical background almost, right?
Yeah, but I only lasted a week. Because the chemical that they used in the acid, whatever it was, gave me migraines. So
it's feeling.
Yeah, man, I had to. Like,
well, it's probably a good thing, right? It sounds like a pretty hectic job.
Oh, mate, it was in this room in Sydney. It was chemical smell.
Man, not for me.
I just feel sorry. Now I look back and go, wow, how do people do that stuff? You know, like, it's just not good for you.
No, definitely not. So we moved up to the Gold Coast. Obviously there's a story and a journey to kind of get into to the exciting parts. Do you want to kind of talk us through that?
Moving here was, because of the reasons I mentioned, but I was still in this dark place. Like, it's hard to explain. It's like I was not normal, but trying to be normal.
Right.
And because I'm not in a wheelchair, I'm not disabled. But I can't do what you do, or every 99% of the other population does.
Right.
So in my head, I'm normal, dude.
Yeah.
I can walk, but that's it.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm normal, right? So I'm trying to be as normal as I can, normal as every day. But there's always this feature in the back of my head saying, you're not quite normal, but yeah, I am.
Yeah. So
I remember moving up here to get away from the stuff, and then as life rolls on, mate, I got into I met my now beautiful wife. It's a funny story, because I knew her brother, because when my brother moved up, we opened a little business up. Okay, so Dad had a business butcher shop.
Okay.
Me and my brother and Mum worked in a marina at Runaway Bay.
Yes.
It was a little on the water takeaway and fuel stop. So we run that, and we also did catering overnight on weekends. So between the four of us, we run a fair bit of business. My sister she moved away, and she'd done some things on her own at that point.
Yeah.
So we did catering, butcher shop, and this little marina. So going out was different for us, because we were always busy, you know. As I used to say to my brother's mates, because I didn't have really time to make a lot of mates up here. I had a couple of mates that moved up, but I still had my schoolmates in Sydney.
Okay.
But I didn't have a lot of mates my age at that point. Right. So I would hang around with my brother and his mates, and he's 7 years younger than me. So what we'd do, we'd go out and go to the pub or whatever, and I was like the dad, because at that point I was 22, 20, in my 20s. Yeah. And they were that 17, 18. Yeah. Yeah, fake ID stuff.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Oh, gotcha. So I was like the dad, come with me and I'll teach you how to drink, boys. Look after us. And we get into fights and all that stuff. Yeah. But so I'd say to the boys, who's got a sister?
That's awesome. That's so funny. Who's got a sister?
And a few of the boys had sisters, and then I went to a party one night, one of the boys, I think he was 18, and Craig, my wife's brother, Vicky was there. And I went, well, she's all right. She's all right, And I still, mate, to this day, I know what she wore.
Unbelievable.
I seen her and I went, oh man, that's cool. She's a cool chick.
What did she wear?
She had it was winter. She had blue jeans on and a brown jacket, like it's different colour, modelly brown. It's like a suit jacket sort of thing back then. Cool. And I went, oh yeah, she's nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Craig.
Hook us up.
Ask your sister to see if she wants to come to the pub.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, cool.
So I grew from there.
Magic.
Yeah, mate, it's cool.
So I suppose I want to get to what's actually written on your shirt. For those of you who I imagine the audience probably can't see exactly what's written on there, but it's a good segue into an incredible career in sport. That you've been able to achieve. Yeah. Let's kind of jump into that a little bit. So I think it's a really awesome journey to kind of share. So do you want to start from the beginning of where that started, what it is, and kind of where it took you?
Well, with sport, because I always had this athlete thing in the back of my head. I was a great athlete when I was a kid. Yeah. And for 20 years of my life, I just dedicated to trying to be normal. with my wife, and we got 2 beautiful children. We built a house, and so we have a family of our own and all that. And then it was until I was 40, just over 40 years old, I decided I need to change my direction a little bit and get healthier, because I wasn't too healthy. I was a mechanic, sort of trying to do my job.
Right.
And at 40, I wanted to become healthy and be there for my children when they grow up.
Yes.
Because, you know, like, who knows how long we got to live, right?
For sure.
People with disabilities sometimes a little bit shorter lifespan.
Yes.
So I wanted to be as healthy, and I actually wanted to make my children proud of their dad.
Yeah, wow.
To be the best dad I could. And so I started to doing a lot of personal development, and I started to go to gym. Now, I didn't go to any gym on the Gold Coast. I walked into 5 gyms on the Gold Coast, and what I did, I interviewed the owners or the managers.
That's cool in itself, man.
Yeah, look, yeah. I knew what I wanted, and I went into this gym called the Industry Gym, and Mark Ryan was the owner, and he looked at me and he said, "Man, I will build machines. I will change my training programs. I'll handwrite you programs like specifically for your condition. Mate, you're welcome to come and train here."
Wow.
And it was a bodybuilding gym. So all the other 4 gyms that I went to, they just wanted my money. They said, "Oh, yeah, it was $700 a year, blah blah blah." Mark was the only one that stood out, so I started training at this gym.
So cool.
And met a lot of bodybuilders and met a lot, other people, like strongman, and it was like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be, It's like every week. So me, and then one of my mates started training with me.
Yep.
A really good Johnny Milo is probably one of my best training partners, mate. He's an awesome dude.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he lives in Victoria now.
Spewing.
But yeah, man, he's like the coolest dude. So we started training.
I have to chat to him at some point, mate.
Yeah, I'll get him up here.
Yeah.
4 nights a week, 2 hours a night, for 2 years.
Sorry, go again.
We trained 4 nights a week.
Yes.
For 2 hours.
Holy dooly.
Every week. So
that is
Monday,
insane.
Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So I made this thing that, unfortunately, because we still work, me and Johnny both work full time.
Yes.
It had to be 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So I didn't get to go home to see my kids and dinner until after 8.
Yeah.
So 4 nights of the week. So it's sort of like, do I sacrifice sitting with my kids and wife having dinner, or do I start and make myself feel better?
Yes.
So I wanted to get rid of the dad bod and make something that I could maybe just make my kids think that they can do something with themselves, That's where it started. And it wasn't until one day I walked into a mate's, I started doing a sales rep's job for a mate of mine who sells scan tools, automotive equipment. I just happened to work in this automotive workshop one day, and it was a mate of mine, Reggie. And Reggie just said to me one day, out of the blue, because I've been training for a couple of years, so I was probably starting to change shape and put on a bit of muscle. And he goes, "Man, you're looking pretty buffed. You ever thought of doing disabled sport?" I went, "What the F are you on about, mate? I'm not disabled, dude."
Yeah.
See, my concept of being normal.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Man, you can't even walk properly. Look at you."
Oh, shit. Wow.
And I went, okay. And see, Reggie's a para-athlete. So
right.
He was an amputee.
So he kind of had the right to kind of
he
be
could
like
say
that
what he wanted
bit.
to.
I was like,
man.
geez, man, that's a heavy thing to say.
So he said this to me, and I just got back. But we bounced a little bit, and we called each other names. And in the end, he goes, "Mate, you can be a para-athlete. More than like there's different levels of disability." And I didn't know any of this.
It's quite a complex system.
Yes. And he said, "Mate, give Sporting Wheelies a call." He said, "That's how I used to go through my sporting stuff." And it was just happened to be the next week, I rang Sporting Wheelies that day, like super excited. It's like, Reggie opened this genie inside me.
Yeah.
This box is like, woo, I'm going to be an athlete. Because I didn't know how to be an athlete.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't think so. Because who would want to, I was a runner. I was a jumper. I couldn't do any of that anymore. So anyway, yes, we got into, I got to ring Sporting Wheelies. And they just said, "We've got a come and try day down at Palm Beach High School, which is on the southern end of the Gold Coast. Would you like to come?"
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Well, I was very, very nervous.
Yeah.
And Reggie said, "I'll come with you, mate. That's all right." So we both rocked up. And because, I had to fill out all the forms, right? And I put down, what did I want to do, or what did I like? And I liked weightlifting, I liked shooting, and I liked archery. So they run you through all these tests physical test to see where you are. First one, mate, is do a vertical jump.
Oh, you're kidding. Yeah.
It's like, my vertical jump is that.
Yeah.
Second one was horizontal jump. So you had to jump from a line, and then they measure how far you would jump. Well, my feet didn't move. I was just like, that was it.
Yeah.
But the third test was actually pretty cool. It's where you get a basketball and you sit on the floor with your back against the wall and your feet out in front of you, and they ask you to throw it. And they'd measure the distance that the ball went. And like most guys probably going 5 meters or so, 5 or 6 meters, because they measured where it bounced. And I sat down and I just went whoosh, and it went clear overhead right to the other side of the basketball court.
No way.
Yeah, and she goes, oh, you got explosive strength. And she looked at my sheet and she goes, you like weightlifting? I was like, yeah, I just train with my mates. She goes, you ever want to think about powerlifting?
Wow.
I went, what's that?
Yeah,
well, I didn't know what powerlifting was. Powerlifting. She said it's bench press for people with lower limb disabilities. So for amputees or people with spinal cord injuries like myself, or and I went, yeah. And next thing you know, she said, ring Sporting Wheelies gym.
Yeah.
So I rang the gym and got in contact with the guys up there at Sporting Wheelies, and happened to talk to Bill, who was the assistant coach, well, I didn't know at the time. He was the assistant coach, and he said, come up and have a try day, mate. I was like, oh, I'm going to try out with the real athletes, you know, and all this stuff. It's like,
so cool.
God, I was nervous. But I went up there and I tried out, mate, and yeah, the rest is history there.
What everyone's probably sitting on the edge of their seats wanting to know is, what was your greatest achievement when it comes to your powerlifting? So now that you've gone from, you know, loving sport as a youngster, living and breathing it, to this void of sport, back to at age of 42, I think
I was
you
44
said.
the first day I competed. Yeah.
No, yeah, but introduction back to sport, in the gym
42,
and things.
41, 42.
Yeah. Which is in itself pretty full on, pretty crazy, right? Like it's late in someone's, you know, life to want to get back into sport, into sport. Now you're in the gym. Talk to me, like how far did it go? Like what happened?
The first day, mate, I met Bill, the manager. Yeah. The Australian coach, Ray. Like, he's the Australian coach, man. Like, I'm just going,
nuts.
Man, I've gone from just dad being a mechanic to hanging out with these guys. So I did first training session. Went really well, I thought, because I've been weightlifting for a couple of years. Yeah. You know, just general dad stuff.
Of course.
It went really well. So, but Ray, the head coach, came up to me. He said, mate, look, really think you're good, you're strong, but you're too old. Yeah. And I went, okay. But then I didn't know at the time, Bill, the assistant coach, come up and said to Ray, don't worry about Leigh, Ray, I'll look after him, I'll set his programs.
Interesting.
So Bill, like, I owe Bill everything, mate. Bill is, we traveled the world together for 10 years, me and Bill.
Wow.
And the team.
Of course.
So Bill was my man, you know, like he would talk to me before I walked down the stage. Competition-wise, he would strap me down because you got to put a strap across your legs, hold you on the bench. Yeah, he was there for me every part of the way. So moving from the first starting day, I've been blessed enough I competed at Delhi in 2010.
Wow.
So I started this first journey it was December 2008. Mm-hmm. When I first started training, when Bill worked me my first program in December 2008. So 2009, I competed at a local Australian event and qualified to become part of the powerlifting team, Australian team. So I got my green and gold.
So cool, man.
Yeah, and it just bloomed. So it was 2010, went to Delhi. Mm-hmm. Super nervous.
As you would be.
Yeah. Man, I was 45 at then. 45, 46 years old. Moving from that one, we did a couple of comps, a couple of competitions like in Dubai, Malaysia, where I got this show. I did the Worlds.
So cool.
I got 12th in the world, which and this is competing against 20-year-olds, 40-year-olds. So I was 12th in the world for my
That's huge,
weight division, but against young guys. We know as we get old, I was 46, 47.
Yeah.
As men and women, we lose certain things as we get older.
Yes.
So, I was pretty chuffed with that.
Massive.
I got to meet some super nice people. Met royalty in 2010.
That's cool, huh?
2011, then I had a pretty bad injury. So I was on my way to Dubai. We did the last training session before we flew to Dubai. So we normally do a heavy session before we fly out, so we know where we are when we get there. And tore my shoulder, rotator cuffs in my shoulders, labrum, smashed it up pretty bad, and I sort of couldn't back out. I had to go, so I still went to Dubai, lifted with shoulder, not so good. Still lifted reasonable, 160 odd kilo bench.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
A number I can only dream of.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Wait till you get older.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the message I'm taking away.
Yeah. Well, you grow up and you get stronger, mate. Yeah. In more ways than one.
That's it.
And then it became this process of dealing injury management, and that's when we met.
Yeah.
We personally met.
Yes.
And injury management, and still trying to do what I love, because I've been 20 years void of sport. I'd found it for 2 or 3 years, and I thought, I'm not letting no one take this away. God, the universe, whatever we believe.
Yeah.
They are not taking this away from me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I persisted and pushed on, frozen shoulder, all these injuries. Finally come to another milestone like 2012, and I think, I just sat there one day and I said, I'm sick of driving around my arms sort of in a position. I want to get better. I want to go and compete again.
Yeah, wild.
And highly probably not wise to do so, but hey, we only get one shot at life, mate, you know?
You got to make the most of it.
Exactly. It's not a rehearsal. So I went and found another strength coach on the Gold Coast. We worked on it, shoulder, worked to get a bit of range, and I worked with you guys.
Yeah.
We got range back in, and then I just decided one day I'm going to compete.
Magic.
2012, I thought, I'm going to compete. I'm going to go to the Com Games in Glasgow. And there was more hurdles getting to Glasgow that which we can talk about later. But yeah, it's probably one of the best comps I've ever done because of the mountains I had to climb.
Yeah.
There's things that went on that I shouldn't still be here.
Crazy.
But climbed them, done it, ticked it off the list. And I look at, every time we set a goal, we always set a reward. So my reward was this watch. So it's a pretty cool Nixon watch.
Looks amazing, man.
Yeah, man, I bought that. So every time I wear it, I get that feeling of being at the Com Games of 2014. And I don't wear it all the time because I don't want to wear that out. Yeah.
That's special.
So like in special times, like we're having a chat, and I thought, I'm going to wear my watch from 2014.
That's so sick.
So I think every goal we set a reward.
Cool.
So you chase the goal to get your reward.
I think it's a really cool lesson. Something that, even listening to you talk now is something that I need to learn more and kind of probably spend more time on. I'm a big believer of goals and setting them, and I've even created my own version of this SMART concept. There's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, timely. I add an E on the end. So I call it SMART-E, with the E being emotional. I think that if a goal isn't emotional, there's we just don't have the passion to get us there, right? But I don't stop to smell the roses enough, I think. So to have that reward aspect that you place so much importance on, I think is a really cool message.
Man, 100%. I think, like every goal, I used to have goals of a day, right? So when I was repping for an automotive company, so I'd go around and see mechanics. If I can get to see enough, I'd say, I'm going to buy myself a coffee and a smashed Advo.
Nice. Yeah, cool.
I mean, it's so small. It's like $10.
But you sit and enjoy it.
I do it and I go, man, that's cool. I ate it and I drank the coffee.
Nice.
Because I achieved what I wanted to.
So nice.
You don't go buy yourself a $600 watch for reaching a small goal.
No.
It's got to be measurable to the goal.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So for people who are listening, you got to set goals, but set rewards to meet the goal.
Yeah, match the investment almost, right?
To me, to go and see 10 or 20 people in a day repping, I'm going to have a coffee. That's cool.
So cool.
And I enjoy the coffee even more.
Yes.
Because
you deserve it.
I earned it.
Yeah.
And that's why I focus a lot of things on life is, I always set a goal for things that I want, but also set a reward for when I reach a goal, because what happens is people set goals, you achieve it, you set another goal, set a goal, and you just with petrol, up, down.
Yes.
But I want to be feel good.
Each time.
I like feeling good, mate.
Yeah, I love that.
I like feeling good. You get the return.
Yeah.
Not just the goal, because the goal, if it's emotional, like you say with E, you will drive you to it because of emotional attachment. But I like to feel the goal.
Positive reinforcement, right?
Coffee or got a watch or whatever it might be.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's nice. Definitely going to put that into my thought processes and make sure I do it. I'm sure the team will be keen for that as well, right?
Oh, they all like coffee.
Yeah, straight up.
See 10 clients today, you get a coffee for free.
So there's so much that I'm really excited to unpack into, you know, that we've kind of skipped ahead and jumped in and all this kind of stuff about your goal. And I know that as this podcast and our listeners get to know us more, and when we interview others and share our own experiences, there's so much mystery behind almost some of those areas, which I think is kind of cool, and we'll definitely unpack further. But one thing that I really want to know, I think is really important to hear from people like yourself who have achieved greatness, which you have, but also been through the tough times to get there. What's probably the biggest positive that you can take from your journey, or the thing that you've learned most, and potentially something a negative as well? Because I'm a big believer that whilst it's important to reflect on the positive outcomes or the positive things, I'm always wanting to learn from other people's failures too, right? That's as big of a gift as to other people listening, is to hear, you know, the positive things you've learned, as to hear the negative things that you know, they may go, oh shit, you know what, like, I'm kind of feeling that now, and if I don't get myself out of it, you know, this is potentially what can happen too. So, yeah, biggest positive that you've learned, and probably greatest negative as well in your journey.
Yeah, I think 100%. So you got a plus or minus. You know, it balances out. We've got to have balance in our life. You can't just be all positive. You can't be happy 99%. You know, we try to be.
Of course.
But the first thing I think, if I start with a negative. The negative thing in that situation in my life is where I used to always look at the things that I couldn't do. Interesting. So I'd look at, well, I used to run. Why can't I run? I can't now play with my kids the way I want to play with my kids like the other dads. So I'd take my son to Little Athletics and I'd see all the other dads, you know, running with their kids when Addie was 6 and 7. And like, I'd never have tears, but that was my thing. I would always look at, why can't I? It's a negative thing. Then one day my wife said something to me, which we'll talk about later, and it turned me round. And I then started to look at the things that I could do. Magic. Compared to the things that I couldn't do. So now I look at where I can't run. Oh, I can't run, why me? The negative. I look at, my legs hold my bum up. Yeah. You know, they hold me up. Yeah, they don't do as well as what I would like them to do, but who cares? I'm now standing up. It's cool. And that's the positive. So everything reflected from looking at what I can do. So the gratitude component, probably the biggest takeaway is the gratitude. Nice. To be grateful for everything that I have compared to the things that I didn't have. So now I'm just grateful for everything I have. I'm grateful we're talking. I get up in the morning, man, and I put my feet on the floor and I go, thank you. I'm glad to be here for the day. That's so cool. Every day. It's just being grateful for the little things, you know. If we're not grateful, what do we got? You know, there's always something to be grateful about. Yeah. 100%. Like the day, the blue sky, the sun comes up, the water's wet, the water's blue. You know what I mean? There's so many... Good conversation. Like, yeah. We could delve into this later, but I think gratitude is probably my biggest positive that I've got out of... Magic. Having a disability. Yeah. You know, I used to always feel bad and horrible and went through the alcohol and suppressing drugs and all that stuff. But as soon as I worked out, hey, I just got to be happy about what I got, what I not got, everything stopped and I changed my life and become an athlete. You know, man, I even met the Queen. So wild. In one of my journeys, you know, like with, you know, something we'll probably talk about later, how I got to tunnel that, vision that, and meet the Queen. Like, it's something you don't get to do every day. The way I was just a dad, a mechanic, you know. So cool, man. Yeah, so we'll be here for bloody hours trying to unpacking all these brilliant things that you've done. I suppose to kind of move forward and look at, you know, everything that you've achieved, and again, as you said, we'll unpack this further in some other podcasts. But what's next for you? What I want to do, I've learned how to climb out of a hole and get to where I want it to be through setting goals and gratitude and everything. But like we talked about before with you, you can't push a rope. I want to pull a rope, so I want to pull people with me. So my whole journey was doing what I did as an athlete to show myself, my family, that we don't just have to sit back.
Nice.
I don't want to just sit back and be, like, we hear so many stories about the graveyard as being the most, the wealthiest of knowledge in the world.
So much,
because there's so many people that go to the grave and not done what they want to do. So my thing is to get off your butt and teach people, to show people that, hey, even a disabled old dude can go and do what I've done.
It's so cool. Yeah.
What I've done, imagine what you can do.
Yeah.
Imagine what anyone can do. You just got to put it out there and go run with it. So that's my thing, is moving forward. I want to do, motivation, inspirational and aspirational sort of things.
Yeah.
Talks to people and help them move forward. Like I do one-on-ones with some people. I have done one-on-ones a couple of years ago, and two of the girls that I helped out, like, these are cool. These chicks are cool, right?
Yeah.
One young lady, she struggled with nerves and everything. She wanted to do taekwondo, and she was a white belt, and she used to get that nervous. She couldn't even do a kata.
Wow.
Right. So I had a couple of sessions with her. She's a black belt now.
No way. That's wild.
And she inspires the hell out of me.
That's so cool.
It's so cool. And another lady I know, she is just gangbusters. She had some weight issues.
Right.
See her now. She's killing it.
That's so cool.
So that's the sort of thing I like to do, is help people.
Nice.
I love helping people.
So I suppose to finish up, it kind of goes back to the mentioning of the graveyard, right? I love this question because it really makes me think, and it's very linked into even what you were just talking about there, about what you want to do next. Fast forward to the time that we are no longer on this planet, which, I would hope that you are kind of excited to look back on what you've been able to achieve. Gravestone message. What do you want written on it?
Okay.
And this isn't all, because obviously we'd have a park this big, but
we'd have a long list, but I have a meaning. I have a thought. So there's 3 things on your gravestone other than the message.
Yeah.
There's the date you're born, the date you die, and there's a dash in the middle. The dash is the most important part.
That's cool. That's very cool.
That's your life.
Yeah.
So my thing is, my dash is all about being grateful.
Nice.
So I could make it long, but I just want my dash to be gratitude.
Magic.
That's it. Just wake up and be happy.
That's
be
so
grateful for the things you have, not for the stuff you don't have.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, man. You can always look around the corner. There's always someone worse off.
Might finish there on that, man. What a message. Cool. That's cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for joining us. I hope that kind of gives you a little bit more of an insight into one of our legendary co-hosts, Leigh Skinne. I'm very excited to be able to give you more information and him to unpack a bit more of his journey as we take on some more podcasts and interview some other people. But thanks very much for joining us today.
Awesome, man. I really love being here. I love what we're going to do. This is going to be cool.
It's going to be wild, huh?
Just chat. I love chatting with you. You know that.
Yeah.
We could chat for hours, but the poor cameraman might get a bit sore in his arms.
That's it.
All right.
Wow. Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.